Pastor Ken. Listen, this is I watched the video last night, and but I'm commenting on it tonight. And anyway, it just doesn't matter. It'll just take too much time. But whatever comes back to my mind, I will just be glad to share. And I enjoy doing this, if nothing else. And I hope in some meager way it really is helpful for you in a deeper way. I don't know what that means, but in a way that would make your role, everything you are, even more directed through this raving raven's words. Let me just. This is a joke, Pastor. Please, joke. No swear words. But I'm glad to see from the New Year's. I think it was New Year's service, and that's right. And the guy who filled in. And a quick question: is the worship leader's name Josh? I just want to know, and then I'll tell you why that is really freaky, if it is. But anyway, but I can see that the legalization of marijuana has finally settled in to Ferritin Christian Fellowship. This guy is anyway. That's a joke. And also, I got to tell you that spotlight going on, the black background. Wow, that's just like, yeah. But seriously, I was really so moved by that man on New Year's Eve. But I didn't really know why. But I knew when he led worship. And I know I'm always asking you to transfer messages. Never mind you send these tapes to these people. I don't remember his name. But I was so beyond moved emotionally when he quoted Psalms and his children were partaking, if I understood his interpretation, that he had his 2 children with him. His arrows to bring him protection at the gate. It was so beautiful. On a slash, I don't know what the word is, but you tell him, the lighter note is I just found out what the lead singer of Kansas would be doing if he was singing for Jesus only. And Kansas wrote the song "Dust in the Wind." Pastor, if you're not familiar with it, that you should Google. That's beyond. Kansas always had their hand on deeper emotions and seeking. But what was the depth of the spirituality? Pastor, there's some bizarreness regarding my music and myself. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. But in my reading regarding the history of the electric guitar, it is not hard to create a theory that it was an instrument to take an instrument of the guitar and turn it into an arm of rebellion. Intensity. No one's telling me what the hell to do. But I always hate that all religions generally throw the baby out with the bathwater. I try to tell people, Pastor, when like the Apostle Paul said something about, I'm just using this as the allegory, I don't drink, or I don't know how he put whatever he said about himself, but he said, listen, if drinking offends your brother, don't drink around them. Just let's have some consideration. It bothers them. But it didn't actually say that your drinking is bad. My point is, water is neither good or bad, meaning you can swim in it, you can float in it, and you can drown in it. It's a neutral object. And what he did is he took really like a terrorist machine gun and spiritually melted into a plowshare of deep worship. You could feel his connection with God, the depth, the love, and somehow now, even with the incredibleness of the machine of an electric guitar, the spirit was David's harp. Wow. He is very talented, but talent has nothing to do with worship. Nothing. I've seen Jews. Remember, I grew up super Jews. My dad loved God. It wasn't religion for him. Never was. So, and it doesn't matter. That's for stories for other day. Me as a young boy at early synagogue, which there was no children there ever. But my dad, anyway, I wanted to be there so bad, and anyway, it doesn't matter. What I'm saying is these people really prayed and worshiped, and Jews have a chant for every, so there has to be feeling, and it gets too legalistic, but if it isn't, they feel that this rabbi, when he said this prayer to God, he really felt it, and this is the way he sang it, so you got to do it that way, and that was really important because he wanted to feel these words, and that's what he did with the electric guitar. Like, wow. But like I said, talent means nothing. But I was going to say, these Jewish men, there was no cantors in there. Their voices were horrific. But wow, if you sat in the back, you would just start crying. Because they meant it. Wow. So my point is, worship and talent are not things I think that are that compatible. But he is talented. And again, like the brother that I commented on, that anyway, how he used his Howard David, all right. It's already 8 minutes in. I'm sorry. Pastor, that was the most, like, in case you just think I blah, blah, blah. That was the most thorough education. I'll just use that on fasting I have ever heard. And I've read about it, all the religions do fast. That was just, I was able to get a handle on it. That's what I love about you. I think I've told you, Billy Graham would not, he prepared every sermon that a 12-year-old could fully understand from beginning to end. I have a terrible learning disability. I get you. You're just a perfect teacher-preacher. You just are. It's real balanced, Pastor, in case you ever wonder. At least to me, anyway. Very balanced. And the natural enthusiasm. It's almost as you're reading, when you're like telling all this stuff, you should see how your eyes just keep glowing, and they glow, and they glow. And about each different subject, each different verses. And it's almost kind of like you're learning this, like as you're saying it, so you're just really intrigued. Like you're reading the newspaper for the first time, but it's the good news section, and you go, wow, yeah, wow, yeah. Anyway, it's priceless, Pastor. But anyway, we've talked about that. I can't. There's so much. Um, I'm trying to just go. I do remember that I was thinking about Jesus said, "My meat is to do the will of Him who sent me." And you will not. We should don't live by bread alone. Man can't live, cannot, but by every word that proceeds. And the concept of coming apart, like the issue is generally with all things, we have to leave something to get to something, and that force of gravity, which makes it uncomfortable, because transition is always the problem. You know, once the rocket gets you over to gravity, then you're in orbit. And I thought your wisdom, you were so balanced, balanced, balanced. I am so imbalanced, Pastor. No jokes. Oh, you're just balanced. Wow. It was like you were an army chaplain, like that saw war, but still has deep faith. And you're just so excited to get fasting again. By the way, that try whatever that you're doing, attaboy, attaboy. I'm so proud of you. Please, again, if I've never told you, I was in a 5K run. 5K. Dr. Gregory, who was my therapist, who then risked his license and became the co-founder, he got me prepared for it. It was the first thing I ever did to get attention regarding, we had just really, like, we didn't even know what we were doing. So, but anyway, it's not important. I think you'd get a real kick out of it. But I'm proud of you, Pastor. I'm proud of you. Set an example for your school. You do. It's really, you set yourself to a standard, and then you say, guys, it's you too. Try it yourself. It's glorious. But anyway, the thing is that we leave to. So the point is, people are always like, oh, I gotta leave food or whatever it is. Anytime fasting comes in, generally it's something. Oh no, please, wow. The way you expressed yesterday was, it's kind of like if you're holding on to 3 pennies, but you said, here's $100 bill, but you got to drop the pennies to get to the $100 bill. The $100 bill is every word that proceedeth from the mouth of God. The further you get away from the world, like Jesus went away, and it's just the balance of everything. You got to go to the world and love them, but you got to go get regenerated, because it's really spiritually all Ephesians 6:12 in my book, and then you're fortified, and then that's just kind of what happens. But instead of eating food to get strength and nutrients to go do your 3-in-1 athletic thing, you go into the presence of the Almighty, the supernatural, as you said. You spend enough time there. Like Moses spent so much time with God, he was sunburned, S-O-N. So the issue is, it's so vital. And the society, that's impossible. It's a very hard society to fast in. The Jews had to set up an entire existence around the Sabbath. And they were gypsies. They were like the Amish in the sense that, there were a lot of reasons they got persecuted, just because they were just weird, and they followed every Leviticus law, and they wouldn't allow themselves, blah, 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 blah. So my point is, the only way they could make sure they had rest, and they had sleeping times, and everything was regulated unto God. So you're living in an American society which is all me first. I'm not saying this even good or bad. The reason people are happy to be Americans is that they have that freedom. I'd be dead in 2/3 of all the countries. I know how deeply patriotic you are, and I'm a different character on that. But the point is, I always say, no matter what I'm feeling, I say, listen, I just want to tell you, I'm the happiest guy to be an American. I'd be dead or in jail. And not even my mental illness, my outspokenness. So I don't know. I don't know how I got off on that. It's 15 minutes. Ah. But anyway, it was the concept of you're an adult, I'm an adult. You know, you're you're sitting at your computer. You know, you should have been in bed a half hour ago. You know you got to get up early for some kind of meeting. You're tired, and you know, but you got to stay. You got to get this work done. And then Tiffany, kind of in a sweet voice, goes, "Honey, come spend a little time with me." Well, in that scenario, you're now fasting work to be in communion with your wife. And that's the way you made it. It just, I swear, when you started talking about fasting, there was something within me that was like, oh, now we're going to talk about dry oatmeal and how I have to eat it. But anyway, the concept is, forget about, it's not just about the food, guys. It's all about, wow, blocking out the world to be really with God. So it was just, it wasn't what you were losing, it was what you were gaining. Wow. And it's giving me an understanding. I just want you to know this, and I will end. Because I've never shared something like this with you, I don't think. This worship, which I know is just like ABC for you, like it's just second nature, knee jerk. But I think I'm just scrambling to try to figure out now why worship, like why you do that in the beginning. I was curious if your elderly feel offended that they don't have the old hymns, because you are Assembly of God. And I think about all that. I'm just such a bizarre cat that you can't even judge anything by me because I have no center. I have too many in my center. But anyway, the point is, I don't doubt their sincerity of their heartfelt worship when it was in 4 lines and predictable barroom tunes, which people don't know, that many of the hymns were really barroom tunes. They were like contemporary Christian music, and they ended up in the hymnals. But anyway, we're used to certain things, and it's easier. So this is something. But anyway, I'm starting to understand a little bit about this worship, that why you always do it at the beginning, so we kind of get completely in the cloud, a good cloud. All right, I'm just going to end there. If I think of 5 other thoughts, I'll spare you. All right. Thank you on every level, and I know this is helping me. The point is when I sink into depth of despair and I start hearing a lot of bad voices, there's a possibility you won't. I will have very little to say. So don't ever worry about that. It's just me being eclipsed. I don't want to be eclipsed. And Pastor, just real quick, I'm going to send you the next day or two another video I did. And I really want you to watch it, Pastor. It's this thing I only send to my... I have things now that I literally only send to you and my therapist. And it's called the... And Janet, by the way, it's funny. I was going to say my social worker, but it's called the Rat-a-tat-tat-tat Rescuer. And I kind of include... My shows are really what I called calm dram. um, and in the sense that I mixed the comedy and drama. It was all one, just me, but and anyway, and I would do beatnik type of songs, and for the crowd I was in, it was entertaining. It was very different. Um, so anyway, uh, I just want you to watch it because that's I'm really very frightened, Pastor. The most disgusting thing to tell you is that if it wasn't for the coronavirus, they already would have started eviction proceedings. Whoa. So it's not like I haven't tried. So I don't know what. So I just want you to watch it. And I'd like you to critique it as well. I used to do it with my daughter. But the point is, I'm just curious if you like it, hate it. You need headphones. You're gonna need headphones. The volume's a little low on that, and you have to watch it. This can't be like background material. And I know you have very little time. That's why I'm pointing it out. I think it's like 6 minutes. I think it's 654. For some reason, I think I'm right. All right, listen. That's it. Um, I love you, Pastor. Thank you.